is Alexander Kerzhner. I usually go by Alek. I've been here at JPL for 4 years. I started here after getting a PhD from Georgia Tech. I'm the Europa Model-Based Systems Engineering Team lead. So Europa is one of our projects here at JPL, and I'm responsible for all of our day-to-day model-based systems engineering tasks. So maintenance of our model, any kind of analyses that touch the model, making sure that the content of the model is actually adequately tracking our current thinking in terms of the design and the architecture and stuff like that. On Europa, my team is the one responsible for maintaining the model and making sure that the model stays accurately synced with our latest thinking in the design and the architecture. That can be sometimes a challenging role and a thankless role. So challenging because we need to put together sometimes a design that's in a lot of different people's heads into a kind of a coherent set that we can actually effectively model. We have a lot of processes to make this kind of doable, but a lot of times what we'll see is, if someone's thinking about the system like this, someone's thinking about the system like this, we need to kind of work through that incongruency and actually capture something that's consistent in the model. The reason I call it a little bit thankless is that when we identify those inconsistencies or other things, a lot of times people think, well, if we didn't have the model, we wouldn't be worrying about this inconsistency. Well, it's like, well, you would. It's in your head and no one knows about it, and we're exposing those things. And so that can be challenging. As I talked about before, the overhead of our current tooling, especially for a mission as large as Europa, can mean too that in certain areas the model lags behind the current design, and so people are like, well, why isn't that part getting updated? Hey, that's not the latest information, and so forth. And so if you do everything right, no one notices, and if you make mistakes, then folks kind of pick at it, and so that's a challenging spot to be in sometimes. Here at JPL, we try to break out the system engineering functions into a set of 10 functions. To give you an example, that may be like requirements, architecture. So basically, some about actually doing the system engineering work. Other functions are about actually managing the system engineering work. For instance, conducting reviews, actually, quote unquote, managing the system engineering task, and so forth. When I look at MBSE, I actually think that it can broadly apply to all of our traditional 10 functions. So I think it can help us with requirements. I think it can help us with V&V. I think it can help us architecting, developing our functional decomposition, interfaces. Interfaces are, I think, a big part of MBSE, having a consistent set of interfaces across the systems that we're tracking. With the current state of the practice, though, I think that a lot of that technical management aspect is better left for kind of more traditional methods. So trying to both do the work in a new way and manage the work in a new way, I think, is quite a big of a task, and so I would recommend against that.